Hi, and welcome back to the show. I'm really excited to be presenting this interview today. Today, I had the grand pleasure of interviewing a former client of mine. Laura is a beautiful woman. She is 25 years old. She is from Spain and reconnected over Instagram, which is where I meet most of my clients. And we just really hit it off from the start. And years later, we found ourselves doing 5 months of coaching together, and we still do coaching every once in a while when needed. But Laura was an ideal client because she was ready to not live with her eating disorder anymore. She was really determined to have this be the year that she was free from all of the baggage that she carries around with food and body and exercise. So she was really hungry for the information that I gave her, and she was really diligent about actually applying the stuff that we were talking about. She really trusted me, which is what made the coaching process really easy with Laura. She trusted that I was telling her things that were going to bring her more happiness, joy, and health to her life. And she knew that there were times that she could not fully listen to herself because her eating disorder voice may have been the one speaking over the healthy voice. And she knew that I had a strong, healthy voice, and she really leaned on that, which is why coaching is so great. You can lean on someone else's perspective and their advice and their healthy voice, looking at your life and being like, yeah, this is what I see, and this is your next step. And I know that's scary, but we're going to do it step by step, take little baby steps forward until you can overcome this. And I'm here to catch you if you fall. And I'm here to help you get back up to continue on your recovery journey. I have a couple hopes and aspirations for this interview. One, I want you guys to know that you're not alone. Two, I want you to know that you can get through this. You can finally find freedom again and feel sane. And three, the benefits of having a coach throughout this process, which Laura very well describes. She really leaned on, like I said, the coaching process, and that was essential for her in her recovery. So, without further ado, let's just dive right in and introduce Laura to the podcast.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, I mean, it was like just like that because I guess 2 years ago it was, the time when I started actually to wanna be the healthiest, well, maybe not healthiest, but the sanest person of me, like I wanted to be free from all my past disorder eating behaviors. And I was looking for, I don't know, inspiring accounts, an inspiring woman, and inspiring I don't know, people who could, I don't know, help me go through the last phase of my eating disorder. And yeah, I was just like, I think I was looking for recipes, and I was looking for, I don't know, those kind of profiles, and I found yours, and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna stick here. I'm gonna stick around.
I'm so
Yeah,
glad you
so
did. Can you give us a little background as to what it was that you were really dealing with?
sure. So I'm almost 25 right now, and my eating disorder started when I was 17. I used to be a ballet dancer. I took my classes really seriously. I knew I was not gonna be a professional dancer, and that was not gonna be my way of living. But anyhow, I really loved it, and I wanted to be, I don't know, like maybe a part-time job or something like that. So I started to take my classes really seriously, and I started to really I don't know, like really to control my body, my eating behavior, and all that. And I'm sure that at the beginning I was just doing it in a healthy way. For me it was not So like an eating disorder, you know, it was not an eating disorder, but I started to see results, and I started to like being different from everybody else. You know, I was the healthiest person in my class. I mean, I was in junior high, you know, and I was different. I was the one who was doing ballet instead of, I don't know, volleyball or basketball or nothing at all. So I was the classical dancer. I was healthy, and I like that. I liked being different. And sometime in the way, when I started college, I thought, okay, so I want to be even more different from any, you know, everybody else. And I started to lose a lot of weight, and I started to like myself in my, you know, ballet uniform, you know, with my um I don't know, my tutu and all that. I really liked how it felt. And I thought, wow, I'm so like these Russian ballerinas. And I thought, wow, I'm so close to that. And I started to really count my macros, my calories. I mean, I think that one summer I was in a 300 calorie basis. Like I was surviving with with 300 calories a
That's
day.
not even
That's
half of my breakfast.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and then I was trying to burn like twice what I was eating. So it was crazy. It was just mental. All my friends went away. My relationship with my family, I stopped seeing my grandpas because being there meant eating with them, and I didn't want to do that. So it was crazy. It was mental.
Yeah, and you're right
And
that like you get sort of a high off of it.
yeah,
And that's what's
I mean, I
really
loved
hard
it.
about anorexia is that once you start losing the weight and you start restricting, all of a sudden you get a big high off of it of like, yes, yes, this feels great, this feels amazing. But then later down the road, you learn to realize that you're just sort of on a cortisol high and you're doing a lot of damage to your body. But I love how you just mentioned that because that was very similar to my story. It felt good to be different. And I
Yeah,
didn't realize that there were other ways that I could be different and unique to the world. And I didn't have to hurt or harm my body in order to be worthy or in order to be quote unquote popular or have friends. Um, I put so much, pressure on my body size.
yeah,
So what continued from here?
yeah. So the craziest thing is that the more that people told me, "Oh my gosh, you're so thin," the better I felt.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know. I mean, I remember like when I started to change. One summer, I jumped on the scale, and it was okay in pounds. I think it was 90 pounds. 90 pounds. Yeah, I think. And I don't know how tall I am in
I
feet.
think you're 5'4". I've because
I'm
you've given
I'm
me
one
centimeters before.
yeah, I'm 170 meters, like 170
So
centimeters.
maybe you're 5'6" or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty tall. So yeah, 90.
Regardless, being an adult, you shouldn't ever be at that
No,
low of a weight.
no, it was crazy. So one summer I went to LA. Yeah, it was my first summer in LA, and my classmates there, because I went there to study for 1 month, and I stayed in a college residence. And my classmates, they kept telling me, "Oh wow, how did you do it? You know, you're so thin." And I was like disgustingly thin, you know. So the thing is that when I went to LA, I had barely no control over the food because it was so different. So I ate pretty much like everything that I could, and then I started to vomit everything. So that was like my summer. That summer, I changed pretty much from anorexia to bulimia, but my mind was still in anorexic mode, you know.
Mhm.
And when I came back home that summer, I think that something inside me broke, and my body and my mind were no longer in the same page because I started to gain weight, and I started to hate myself because of it. But it's like I couldn't do it anymore. It was like I couldn't be that hungry anymore. I couldn't. I mean, I had a pretty bad time because it was like two voices inside my head. Like, you cannot do this anymore, and oh my gosh, you're gaining weight. You're almost 100 pounds now. Oh my god, like. And around that time, I met a guy, my boyfriend now, and he loves eating, and I wanted to be with him, and therefore I had to eat. So I started eating a little bit more every day. I started to, I don't know, to see food in a different way, but I was still in control. I mean, I was still so in control of everything that I ate. I counted calories. I mean, I was not as sick as I used to be, but I was still really, really in control.
There was improvement, and I think a lot of girls get to this place where they're like, oh well, like I'm not as bad as I was, and
Yeah.
they're in sort of this quasi recovery where it's like,
Mhm.
well, I'm quote unquote normal now, and people won't mention things to me anymore. I don't look sickly emaciated. For those who go through eating disorders and become emaciated, not everyone does, but they sort of see this like little weight gain as like, okay, wow, that's it, like
Yeah.
that's fine, I'm normal, but they don't actually go through full recovery.
Yeah. I mean, I never lost my period, but I think it was because I was on the pill.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah. Yeah.
The pill is just a withdrawal bleed, so it doesn't actually
Yeah.
mean that you're having a cycle.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, I was never sick enough because I never had amenorrhea. So I never had that calling, like, okay, I'm not sick enough because I still have my period, even though a part of me knew that I was not having a normal period, because I was barely bleeding or anything like that. But, I mean, that was like inside my head, I was like, okay, the moment I lost my period, I will stop,
Mm.
but
Yeah, it's sort of like once I lose all of my hair, then
yeah,
then I'll really know that these clumps of hair falling out like every
yeah,
day is not okay, and I should change. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, I started eating, but I was still really in control of everything that I ate. And I had a problem with iron in my blood. So my mom recommended me to go to a nutritionist. So I did. And she was really, really good. I mean, she was really good. She really comprehended. I mean, she understood where I was coming from, but it was the worst thing that I've done,
Hmm.
because of course the iron thingy went better and all that, but I still had control a lot what I was eating because every 2 weeks I had to go there, and she took measures of me. She made me go into the scale, and she was measuring my body fat, my
Body fat
percentage,
percentage, yeah.
yeah, then my muscle body fat, my muscle percentage, and all that. And I was so obsessed with the numbers, because now it was not the food; it was like the kind of food that I ate.
So this is where it
So
sort of now transfers into orthorexia.
yeah,
And it's
exactly.
funny because this is a very common thing. I mean,
Yeah,
look at my own story. Anorexia to exercise bulimia to orthorexia. And it's just like you keep on just transferring one thing to another, getting just obsessed with this thing and then that thing. And it's never just full recovery. You're just sort of moving it around so that people sort of get off your back from, certain
yeah,
things.
completely. And one of the things that really like when we had a session and you told me you're exchanging one kind of control for another. So that was it for me. And when I finished college, I had to drop off ballet because I injured myself really, really bad. And for me, it was a wake up call. I stopped, I stopped feeling left part of my body, I lost complete. I mean, I didn't feel anything on the left part of my body because I was exercising so much, and I was eating like so controlled way that my muscles were so tense that were pressuring my spine, and I lost that side of my body for like a day. They had to put me um like some they had to pinch me like with some medicines in my muscles, so I could relax my body. I couldn't barely move for a day.
And that's so scary, being 25
Yeah,
years old, and here you are, and your whole
I
left
was
side gets
23 at that time.
paralyzed. And
Yeah,
it's like, well, yeah, our body, our bones need protection. This is why
yeah,
we have muscle and we have skin and we have all these things to help protect our bones so that there's not so much impact. But you get to such a low weight, and all of a sudden there's no protection there for your spine, which is so dangerous. And then, of course, osteopenia and osteoporosis is very prevalent because, wow, you're not eating enough to maintain bone density. So there's so many things that happen there. Now, a lot of our work that we did together was letting go of food control and certain restrictions of certain types of food. You were vegan once.
yeah, yeah. I'm like I think that now I'm just flexible.
Mm.
Most of my diet is vegan, but on Friday I go to have lunch with my grandpas, and I just ate whatever my grandma is cooking. And for example, today I had the hugest lunch I've had, I don't know in how many years, but I just enjoy it. I ate a lot of fish. I ate the huge cake that they had done, and I think that just now I'm flexible. I'm not socially excluding myself because of because of the way that I eat. I'm really conscious about the way that I eat in a way, in an environmental way, you know, but I don't control everything that I eat.
Yeah, so Laura, she came from being sort of very strict vegan, and this was right when I had left veganism, right when she started coaching, and she very well knew this because she follows me on Instagram. And I remember you saying during sort of the end of our coaching, like, I had a feeling you were gonna have me talk about this. And so for Laura, I mean, she did join veganism. A lot of it was for ethical reasons. So we did a lot of work on understanding the sustainability of regenerative farming and supporting local farmers who were creating, good pasture raised eggs and meat, and doing it in a way that is sustainable for our world and in a more conscious way, but not being so restrictive. And I remember this was a big thing, was I had you first start eating cheese,
Yeah.
and then eggs, and then the next step was for you to go to your grandparents, which had been accommodating. They had been accommodating to your vegan diet for a long time. And I remember I told you, all right, the next step is for you to just call up your grandma and tell her, whatever you make, I will come and eat it.
She cried. Yeah.
She cried. I remember that. This was like a really powerful session. That next session, you coming and being like, for the first time, like, I was able to enjoy the love that my grandma wanted to give me via just eating her food and not being picky about it. And that's so I want you to talk more about this freedom that you started feeling with coaching. Just what has opened up to you ever since we started working together. You started maybe releasing this really strong label and being like, okay, can I go out and can I have someone else at restaurants just pick what I'm going to eat? Can I eat the chocolate chip cookie? Can I,
Yeah.
can I start being more flexible with my food? So can you start explaining sort of, all right, we started coaching. What was your experience with that?
I remember that session, I cried a lot. I remember it because I felt like a huge release. Like I felt like I was I had a huge baggage over my, over my head and on my shoulders. And I felt like I was finally entering the last phase of my non-freedom life. Like, not, I wasn't free. And I remember that the first time that we talked, I cried because I felt like I was starting to feel free, and that this was the beginning of a new path, of a new way of living that I don't remember having, because when I started with my eating disorder, I was so young and I barely have any memories of a life without controlling everything that I was eating. So the first session was really like a release for me, because I couldn't handle it anymore. I really needed help getting rid of that last, controlling piece of my life. And every time that we talked, I remember that the first weeks I was basically writing to you like every single day, because I was so motivated, to finally break free. And I needed, I think that the most important part in this phase, when you're almost recovered, is to have someone there, to have someone that understands the things that have happened to you, and who understands what you've been going through previously. Because if she could do it, you can do it too. And for me, that was you. I mean, it was probably, I mean, without these coaching sessions, probably I would have been just the same. I mean, I would have been healthy, I would have been fine, with no health issues. But mentally, I think that the last part of an eating disorder is get rid of that mental thing. And that is the hardest part, because if you don't have help there, you're not gonna get it. I mean, that is my personal experience.
No, it's really hard. It's really hard. It's really scary. And I think that's it. And you need someone being like,
Yeah.
no, you have to run into that fear. I promise you. And it's like, no, I don't want to. On your own, you're like, I'm not going to just jump off the cliff. Like, what if there's nothing there? But I'm like, no, there is a road there. Don't worry. Like, you're going to land. It's fine. And I think that
Oh,
really, yeah, that's an essential.
oh, Chloe, I
Oh,
can hear you.
okay, let's stop.
Okay, now I hear you. No, no, I'm fine now.
I get that, right?
Okay, yeah. Go on. Sorry, yeah.
And I think that is a very essential part of the journey. It really helps to have someone be there being like, I'm standing on the other side and I promise you there's a road here and you're not gonna fall. And like, I'm sitting over here on paradise. You can sit over here too, but you're gonna have to trust me and just walk into the dark here.
Yeah. And I remember that another big thing for me, and I was fucking scared of that. I mean, it was one of the scariest thing that I've done, was to go shopping for new clothes. Because I was still fitting in a 2 size, but I was not comfortable there. And for me, if I had to buy new clothes in a 4 or a 6 size, for me was that I was that size. So a huge step for me was to stop identifying myself with a size. And I knew that without you and without that coaching session, because I remember it so well, I wouldn't have been able to go shopping the next day, because I remember it was the very next day. So that was huge for me, stop
What do you think
identifying myself.
what do you think I said that really helped you through that?
I don't know, it's just, I think that it was seeing you so confident with the new that. And I remember a story that you posted on Instagram, that you said that you were in front of a mirror or something like that. I think it was in an attic or something. And you were saying something that, I love my new thighs. I love that they touch each other when I walk. And I love that I have boobs, and I love that I had a butt or something like that. And I was like, I want to feel like that. Why can I'm still so obsessed with having a certain type of body? I mean, I'm not a child anymore, you know? And it was around that time that I was getting news from a possible new job. And I was like, I don't want to be a child in this new job. You know, if I ever get the chance, I just want to be a woman, a powerful, empowered woman. And yeah, it was really essential for me to go shopping for clothes that I just liked, whichever the size was. And that was key too, stop representing myself as a girl who was a two size and who was skinny and who was healthy. I'm healthy, but I can eat whatever I want. I can eat pizza. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but that took a lot of time to get you to be
yeah,
able to say that. That took a lot of time, but it was so possible. It was so possible, and it's baby steps. And I never, um, sorry, way too hot. Um, so I never pushed you to a place that I thought was too much for you. And again, this
yeah,
is where coaching can really help, because it was like, okay, you're right here. How do I just get you to right here? Like, I'm not trying to get you to recover the next day, like up here, because that's going to result in a relapse and you're just going to be so scared and you're going to go right back down. So we did little things. Okay, we're going to do this now. Now we're going to do this. Now we're going to do this. Now we're going to do that, so that it seemed doable.
yeah. I mean, I remember that the first thing that I had to do was go and buy a cookie for myself, because I always had my boyfriend buy that cookie for me, because if it was my idea, I felt bad, because it was me, the one who wanted to eat the cookie. But if he bought it, it was just his treat, so I was eating the cookie because of him. And I remember that the first time that I bought the cookie for myself, I felt incredible. I mean, the cookie tasted even better. And then 2 days later, I had another cookie for myself, because I fucking loved cookies, So, and then it was that my friend was choosing a really sweet snack for me. We went to this shake place, which has like this crazy shake, like they're so big. And I told her, you are gonna choose for me. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna choose for you the biggest thing on the menu. And I was like, okay, fine. And I had this gigantic shake with I think it was a chocolate croissant on top, and it was so huge. And I mean, I was not in control. I remember. And I had for lunch a huge dish with rice. So I was eating carbs, and then I was eating like a huge shake with croissant and all that. So that was another big step. And it was just like that, like baby steps. But the thing is that the better I felt doing these things, the more, the more free that I felt. And I was feeling happy. I was feeling free. I was feeling good with my friends. I started to see a lot of my friends again. I started to go to my grandma with a new, I don't know. I mean, everything started to click, and everything and a lot of good things happened right the moment that I started to feel that I started to be completely free. So when I was completely free, everything good happened. Every possible good thing that could happen happened. So it was like the universe telling me something.
And it comes from that action. I think a lot of us, we get stuck talking about food freedom, or we get stuck talking about not being obsessed with the gym and all that. But I'm like, yeah, but talking about it does nothing. It's the actually experiencing food freedom that creates that change. It's actually detaching yourself from the gym and not going that makes you feel free from the gym.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. I haven't gone to the gym since November. I mean, I've been exercising, doing yoga. Sometimes I do a hardest kind of yoga. Other times I just do stretching. Sometimes I do heat exercises in my place. Other times I go to for a walk. But I found out that the gym was something that I was using instead of my hard training from ballet. So I was substituting my ballet classes for the gym, and the gym, yeah, I mean sometimes I enjoyed it, but it wasn't for me. I mean I didn't like it, so I just quit it.
And yet you were going every day.
Yeah.
Which is what's really funny, which is really funny. We make ourselves do these things that we don't like. Um, we had a really powerful session where I had you see everything sort of from an alien perspective.
Oh my
Do
gosh,
you
I
want
love
to talk a little
it.
bit on that?
Yeah. I remember that it was when I was started to work on my own. So I was correcting books from my place, and because that is what I do for a living. So I changed jobs after the summer. So I was starting to this new routine, right? So I was really lost because I didn't know how to schedule everything that I wanted to do, because I'm a person who loves scheduling things. And I was like, I need to do this and that and the other thing. And you said,
I.e., Laura was struggling with this
yeah,
control thing and
yeah,
not like, what am I going to do without controlling my life and knowing exactly what's going to happen? So, all right, continue.
yeah. So you told me, what about if you were an alien? I mean, you think that an alien would like to go to the gym every day at 8 and then have a veggie smoothie and then have lunch at the same time every day and then stay at home instead of going for a walk or something like that. So what about if you were an alien who just landed on Earth in your body? Do you think that he would like to go to the gym every day? No, he wouldn't. So I started to do different things every day. I mean, I woke up and most of the days I didn't want to go to the gym. What I wanted to do was going for a walk in the morning because it was not freezing that time. You know, it wasn't winter yet, and I'm I live near the mountain here. Like I have a beautiful mountains near my place, and I was not using them at all. I mean I sent you
Because
pictures.
you were so stuck on your
Yeah,
routine. So that was the
yeah,
whole point of the alien thing. The alien thing was like, you wouldn't know that like this food is good or bad. You wouldn't know that you should be eating at noon. You wouldn't like, how can you
yeah,
experience new things and new ways of being and start to see that instead of as a fearful thing, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something new, and an adventurous thing, and like, ooh, okay, I get to experiment what it feels like to go on a walk today instead of going to the gym and just doing the same thing that I do every single day.
yeah.
I remember
And
that
I
was like a really big part for you.
Yeah, and I started to eat more chocolate croissants
Yes,
those days. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, because I love them. So,
Jack
and
Grandma,
I
that's for sure.
forgot. Yeah, I had forgotten how much I did love chocolate croissants, and you
Well,
were eating. Yeah,
and in the day, I told you that it just turns to mush.
yeah,
We get
yeah, yeah,
so fixated on this stuff, but I'm like, it just turns to brown mush when it's in your stomach. So calm
yeah,
down. Yeah.
yeah. That was right. I loved the mush thing. Yeah.
So, Laura, overall, with coaching, where do you feel like you went? Like you were here and then you went here. Like, what was the experience of coaching, and what did it do for you?
Yeah, so I think that the most important thing was that for me was the final push that I needed to break free. So I was here almost healed from controlling my body and everything that I was eating, because I was almost there. I knew that I want to be healthy, that I knew that I didn't want it to be uh, an eating disorder girl. I knew that the eating disorder was not for me anymore. That I knew for sure. But I wasn't there I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
I needed that final push to jump over the cliff. And when we started working together, I was just one step at a time. And at the end of I remember at the end of December, I got the job of my life and I broke free on a last session. I got the job of my life and I broke free. I mean, everything clicked.
But that was
So
possible because you had done all the work before. Like that
yeah,
job opened up to you because you were free, because you
yeah,
were open to new schedule changes, because you were stepping into your womanly body. Like this all was happening at the same time.
yeah. So it was the push. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It was just the final push that I needed to break free because I was almost there, but I didn't know. It was like it was like I had so many doors to open, but I was so freaking scared that I didn't know which one to open or even if I wanted to open a door. So for me, working with you was to be confident enough to open any door that I wanted, no matter what could have been on the other side.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, it was
So,
that.
to someone who is in that stage that you're in, that sort of quasi recovery stage, still very mentally controlling food, doing a lot better physically, but still mentally tormented about exercise, food, and all of that, what would you tell them about coaching with me if they're on the fence?
They need to know that it is possible, and they need to know it on first hand. So with you was like, if she could do it, I can do it, and she can teach me how to do it. So it was that. I mean, I think that right there is a critical moment because you've done a lot of work, but if you stop, you're going to relapse. I mean, for me, it was like that. I was so fearful of relapsing that I knew for sure that if I didn't find help, I knew I was going backwards
Yeah.
because it's a critical moment. You've done all the work, your body, it's almost restored, your mind is almost restored. But if if you faint, you're done because
Yeah.
it's so easy to relapse. It's so easy. I mean, I've been relapsing for, after recovering my weight, I've been relapsing like almost maybe twice a month. I was so sick of that. I didn't want
And do you feel
that
like you
anymore.
do you feel like you've relapsed at all ever since coaching?
No, not once. I mean, these 5 months, completely clean. I
Wow.
mean, not once. I've had like moments that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna eat this because this morning I had that. And then the Chloe voice started like, oh no, you're gonna eat that. No, you're gonna eat that, and maybe you're gonna eat two of them.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
This is so great. I really appreciate you sharing your experience. It was by far one of the best coaching experiences that I had was watching Laura just completely, I mean, radically transform. You're really right. You were right there, just ready for it. You were so ready for it because you're at that point where you were just sick of it. And sadly, that's oftentimes what it takes is it takes people getting to rock bottom for them to finally realize like, oh, wait, I need to get this figured out. But I just want to shout out voice here. You don't have to wait until you're quote unquote sick enough. You don't
Yeah.
have to wait until some huge thing happens. Like you deserve to feel completely mentally and physically free from this eating disorder. Um, uh, so thank you so much. I don't even know what more to say about this, but it was such a pleasure watching you just completely transform into a more confident, just beautiful, healthy, balanced woman. So thank you so much, Laura, for being on the show.
Thank you, Chloe.
You're very welcome. All right, how do I press not recording anymore? Record. Yes.
No, it's still recording.
Oh, dang it.